much. We go back to our questions. What are the barriers to innovation via M&A, and how we could work in tandem to remove the obstacles, if any? So we talk about M&A has a lot of advantages, especially collaboration, growing the innovation ecosystem, creating new innovations. We talked about that, right? But there might be also barriers to innovation, and how we could work in tandem to remove these obstacles, right? Any, maybe William, would you like to take this a bit further? I think this is.
Yes, I guess I want to go back to, the example that I gave earlier regarding this Illumina thing. And because when Illumina, funded this company, Grail Inc., they didn't really think much about them. They thought they're going to be, just another failure, and which is probably why they wanted to spun out, or maybe they want to provide some freedom of, choice to work really in the entrepreneur spirit, and knowing that Illumina as a big corporate may not be offering the good environment. So I see that as a hindrance to innovation, being trapped in a big environment. So sometimes, strategically you can do a carve out. Doesn't necessarily have to be a merger and acquisition to over long term to build that asset. And if successful, and that can be brought back as an innovation boost. So I think that was a starter of my thought. But also I believe the hindrance to innovation can also come from the government, right? The regulator in this particular case, just because Illumina want to buy it back, and there's an antitrust issue, okay? And also the geopolitical also play a role in terms of how company like J&J can function in the future, because the disengagement between China and US will create two, I would say, parallel ecosystem. Yeah, one is led by the US and the other one potentially led by China. So that means as a company, J&J have to, supply to two camps at the same time. Is it necessary? Do we have to, have a border when it comes to science, when it comes to life science and life saving? So that's where I thought, maybe the barrier, especially the border, the geographic border between, different political system, different ecosystem can be eradicated. And so then we can all work together and then doing the transaction that we need, because when it comes to cross-border trade, a lot of deals got killed because of trade protectionism, and also because of, for example, in this case, CFIUS, that potentially kill lots of potential investor who might make this happen for human to enjoy faster. And so then until we figure out a way as human to work together, and that will remain a hindrance to innovation, especially between the two, camps or two ecosystem. I welcome thoughts from the other audiences.
Anybody would like to respond? I mean, it's not to make it a political discussion, but it's more how the science and technology to promote growth, right, in the humanity. I mean, in this aspect, I assume, William, you said we are not going to solve the political or economic systems, right, problems. But any thoughts about how technology can
we as an industry, I mean, I'm a member of many industry, trade association. And so we can always, as an industry together, we can lobby the world government, right? And to put the people's life first. This has nothing to do with politics. We were imposed on these restrictions when it comes to innovation, especially cross-border innovation.
I think it is important to talk about healthcare as healthcare to help all people, right? Regardless of where they are. And healthcare is a religion. I mean, it doesn't matter which nationality or which religion you are from. Healthcare is a religion for people in the healthcare industry. The one main barrier which at times I see is the communication barrier. So, if you have people from technology, they come with a very different perspective and mindset. And at times they do not understand the regulatory aspect of healthcare, or they do not understand the different stakeholders which healthcare has to cater to. Different countries have very different payment mechanisms and procurement mechanisms. So that lack of understanding of stakeholders in healthcare does tend to hold back proper dialogue. And if someone can facilitate that, it's useful.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and follow up what William Pei's comments. I think in healthcare, especially on the AI and big data we are talking about, in China's situation, in the healthcare system, they are very much controlled on the data, on the patient data, on the genetic data. So I see a lot of challenges for a startup company in that domain, healthcare and AI, try to build up a sale to a big companies. I think it's very hard because of the China control on the data of the patient, control on the genetic and the other, human being nature data. So I think in China environment, it's one of the challenges in this area.
Okay, I would like to switch to another subject. We have only another 10 minutes. So here is an interesting question. Many VCs and corporate venture capital departments are always mentioning patients, which is a part of reactive health. How about innovation in proactive health, preventative health? Are you focusing on this part of health too? I think many companies do, right? But any comments on this? Maybe 5 minutes on this, and then we move to the last question. Any one of you?
Sure, Mike. Before I drop off my comments, I think there is a lot of focus on preventive and personalized healthcare. Even in the Indian context, though as a country we are very reactive in our healthcare access. But the COVID pandemic has actually given a fillip to, preventive and personalized healthcare. So at least a certain percentage of population has started moving towards that. And there are a lot of startups now which are catering to preventive and personalized healthcare through various kind of platforms. They are targeting various segments, including the diagnostics, including wellness and fitness, and then also on the mental health, which is going to be a big area for the future, given what we have seen in the pandemic and how people have reacted to lockdowns. That is something which will be an area of interest for all of us going forward.
Thank you. Any one more response on this? Okay. Maybe we go to the last 10 minutes. Anything that you would like to share? Any partnerships you do in your business? Anything that comes to your mind from the discussion we have had today? Anything as closing remark from your side? If you have anything in your business that you do in this space of collaboration between startups, corporates, investors, anything you would like to mention, I think this is the right time now for 1 minute each to mention something. Anything as a closing remark before we would like to start.
Okay, maybe I start.
Please, William.
Okay, because we are talking about innovation in the healthcare system.
Yes.
And my suggestion will be suggesting to those startup companies, young, startup engineers, to understand and think about the healthcare system itself. And then based on your understanding, a deep knowledge of the healthcare system, then create something to meet the demand or solve some of the real problems. It's not the other way around to already have some idea and try to push into the healthcare system. So that's my suggestions.
Very, very wise. Look outside, look at the industry, look at the customers, look at the pain points. Don't go inside out, right? Inside out is only happiness. Okay, so who would like to go next?
If I may, I think I completely agree.
Please.
It's been set out, it's not required. But I think what I would just say is that it's very important that prevention, given the current, pandemic, what it's taught us, absolutely critical that we look at the entire ecosystem. I mean, prevention is the key, so again, very interesting opportunity for startups to create something which will help in the prevention side and partner with hospitals. So it's integrated. The ecosystem has to be integrated, and I'm sure there are very many companies like ourselves which are very keen to partner with companies who have shown some proof of concept, some real proof of clinical validation.
I would
Thank
also
you.
like to echo what William Jin earlier comments regarding this demand analysis. Before you want to, become successful, you want to understand where you can fit in and where your value can be, realized. But also take example of China. That is, there are many people who think of the same. And so that creates another problem. That is, not only you have to understand the demand, to do a demand analysis, but also try to differentiate yourself, because that often would help you for the final race for capital.
Okay. Swami, anything from your side?
No, I mean, I agree with all the comments so far. The one insight which I have is I believe digital health will take off more in the East first, then in the West. I have high hopes from China, India, and Singapore, many of those countries where the trust level of citizens in their governments is much higher than the trust level of citizens in the government in the West. So I hope to see much higher digital innovation coming out of East in future.
Very good.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Any last question from the participants before we move forward? I think we have answered most of the questions. The question about if we are going to post a video, normally what we do is we never post the whole video, but we take parts of video and we post it in the 10x2 LinkedIn site. We put the whole 1 hour video. Is very difficult to post it. We post it in bits and pieces in the right sequence and with the right parts. Any other question? Let's see. There is one more Q&A. One more question. What do you think of the most important need of the healthcare industry when it comes to digital transformation of healthcare delivery to a digital workflow such as video consultation? Any comment on this?
I think I touched upon that when I, explained one of our case study, which involved a, tele consultation company. I think that will be also the future. And when we pitched that particular transaction to China-based company, they were all very interested, but due to the pandemic, they wouldn't be able to travel to Europe and to visit the target to do the due diligence, because as you know, teleconsultation or telemedicine can help, ease the situation greatly, especially in the rural area where doctors are not around. For 1.4 billion population, China only has, maybe roughly a little bit more than 3 million, doctors. And so for that kind of ratio, we have to adopt these technology, whether it's, telemedicine or teleconsultation, and it will be a great help to ease the burden of a major hospital, primary hospital in major city, but also allow certain technology, using technology to serve much bigger patient at a lower cost. One example is, for example, many people used to have to crowd into bigger city to find a ophthalmologist to do an eye exam. But now with the internet and with the IoT, lots of devices have been created as an end, device. You can actually do it from your home, do an eye exam on the 5G network by yourself. And this is already happening in parts of China. And the next step is to roll out to the rural area so the majority population can enjoy the outcome of the technology.
If I may just add, the technology is there, internet technology and, the other innovation that we've seen. It's actually very much now mature, and, we've pretty much made geography history. What we need is, to somewhere harmonize the regulations, because many countries still have very, I would say, gray areas in terms of how telemedicine and teleconsults could be used. Telepathology, teleradiology, teleconsults, all this is possible. The harmonization of standards, trying to make this much more simpler. I mean, we look at COVID, COVID, frankly speaking, the collaboration amongst countries hasn't been optimal. This can improve. We can have some more pooling in done and some more, a kind of closure of regulations, which will allow the best physicians or the best, protocols to be transferred to another country, developing country, which doesn't have that understanding. So I think those things will need to be worked upon. And it's upon us to, kind of lead that coordinated effort to convince some governments to see reason and become much more open in the harmonization of regulations.
I think you are right. The standards is always an issue. Yeah, please, William.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, with Sumit, because that's precisely an example where I want to share with all the, panelists, that is, an open border when it comes to innovation, an open border when it comes to telemedicine, because telemedicine is supposed to be borderless, right? And more doctor in India or maybe even Chinese traditional medical doctor can be useful for certain diseases, but people can travel these days during COVID. So having that kind of a cross-border platform would allow more patients to enjoy in their own benefits of their home.
Fantastic. Okay, we have only 3 minutes. I would like practically to close formally this event. I would like to thank you all very much for joining, but I would like to give you also one more chance, all the panelists, to say maybe one sentence, whatever you would like to pass the message to the most of the participants that they are startups or scale-ups or early stage companies. Any message from your experience, how to grow sustainably the innovation ecosystem? So maybe Swami would like to start with you. Any wisdom after so many years experience here?
I would just say, I would just wish all of them the very best. And I would just advise never give up, just stick to your guns and persist, because healthcare needs innovation. We are far from having solved our problems. So we need the passion of all the innovators to burn bright. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Swami. Thanks for joining and especially waking up so early to join. Thank you so much. William Jin, maybe you go next.
Yeah, I just give a suggestion to the startup companies, the young engineers, keep understanding your healthcare system locally, because a lot of healthcare is more locally regulated, and also in a vision of the worldwide new technology, and you will win there. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we go to William, to the other William.
The other William, thank you. Well, I guess, I would like to offer maybe a piece of advice to some of the startup, future founder of the company. That is, if you can find the capital or the market or appreciation of your technology or know-how, you can always go to another country, because somebody's trash can be somebody else's treasure. I strongly believe in that. World is big, and so go for it.
Thank you very much. Yes, never give up. I like this. And Sumit, last but not least, what is your advice? Thank you.
Yeah, again, I must wish them the very best, but I must say that, as earlier mentioned, select the team carefully to solve the right problems, and collaboration is the key. If you find some other startup doing something which could complement you, be ready to embrace it. You have the world as your playground.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much all. There will be another webinar in September. We don't know exactly the direction, what's going to be the focus, but it's going to be under the umbrella Innovation Through M&A, 10x2 Masterclass Series. Again, thank you very much, the panelists. Thank you very much, Chris, for supporting with the collaboration for this event. And I wish you a good morning, afternoon, evening, and until next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Healthcare Dialogues.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.